Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Prime Spider-Man 76 and today we are going to be doing something very different. Instead of the occasional Spider-Man episodes and the one Mandalorian and Grogu, we are not going to be looking at DC, nor Marvel, nor Star Wars. Today we are going to be diving into the absolutely amazing world of Disney and further in Pixar.
Spider-Man. Here comes a podcast. Spider-Man, mega huge Marvel fan. New bits every day. What you gotta say? Ryan. Spider-Man, mega crime Spider-Man.
Like I said, guys, welcome back. What did you think of my new intro music, which you are hopefully going to hear at the beginning of every episode? But anyway, like I was saying, what if I told you the biggest moment in Toy Story never actually happened? Not Woody standing up to Sid, not Buzz learning he's in a real Space Ranger, not even Andy giving his toys away years later. Instead, it was the one event the toys spent every single day trying to prevent. Andy discovering they were alive. Think about it. Throughout every Toy Story film, the toys follow one unbreakable rule. The second a human enters the room, they freeze. They don't question it, they don't debate it, and they certainly don't break it, unless they absolutely have no other choice. But why? Is it simply because they don't want to scare the children? Or is it that something much bigger hidden beneath the surface of Pixar's world? Because when you really start looking at the evidence, it becomes clear that Andy finding out the truth wouldn't just change his life, it would change the world. Today we're exploring one of the biggest what-if scenarios in Toy Story history. What if Andy realised his toys were alive? And by the end of the video, I think you will agree that the consequences would be far bigger than anyone would imagine. Before we dive into the theory, we need to understand that something most people never think about. The toys aren't just pretending to be lifeless, they're committed to it. Every single second. Even when nobody seems to be watching, take Woody for example. At the start of the first Toy Story, he acts as Andy's favourite toy, but the moment Andy leaves the room, Woody instantly becomes the leader of an entire community. He organises meetings, makes announcements, solves arguments, keeps morale high. He's basically the mayor of Andy's bedroom. Then, the instant footsteps approach. Everyone freezes. No hesitation, no panic. Almost like they've rehearsed it thousands of times. That's because they probably have. Which raises our first question. Who taught them this rule? Because none of the films ever explain it. Buzz doesn't know he's a toy at first, yet even he eventually starts freezing around humans. Jessie follows the rule. Bullseye follows the rule. The army men follow the rule. Even toys we've only seen for a few seconds know exactly what to do. That suggests this isn't something that they learn individually. It's more like instinct, or a law. And laws usually exist for a reason. Now, here's something interesting. The toys don't actually mind humans. In fact, they love them. Their entire purpose revolves around making children happy. Woody's happiest moments happen when Andy is playing with him. Buzz loves being one of Andy's heroes. Jessie dreams of being loved again after being abandoned. The toys don't hate humans. They simply fear being discovered. Those are two very different things. Imagine if your whole existence depended on staying hidden. Wouldn't you become incredibly careful too? That could also explain why every toy reacts so dramatically whenever a human almost catches them moving. They're not just avoiding an awkward conversation, they're preventing something much bigger. Now, let's rewind to one of the most closest calls in the entire franchise. Near the end of the first movie, Woody and Buzz are desperately trying to catch Andy's moving truck. They're running through the street, they're talking, they're moving in full view, and several humans almost see them, but somehow nobody truly notices. It's one of those moments audiences accept because it's an animated film, but if one person had looked at exactly the right moment, everything would have changed. Andy would have seen Woody running after him, his favourite cowboy, moving completely on his own. Can you imagine that moment? At first, he's probably thinking he was imagining it. Maybe he would rub his eyes. Maybe he would assume it was a dream. But then Woody would look directly at him, and suddenly, nothing would ever be the same again. Here's where the theory really starts. Most people assume Andy would be simply very excited. After all, what kid wouldn't want living toys? But I don't think that's what would happen. Not immediately. Think about it from Andy's perspective. For years, he's talked to Woody, played with him, taken him on adventures, slept in the same room every night. And all the time, Woody could actually hear every word, every conversation, every secret, every imaginary adventure. Suddenly, Andy wouldn't realise he hadn't been talking to himself. He's been talking to someone who was listening the whole time. That is an incredible thought, but it's also slightly unsettling and creepy. How many conversations had Woody heard? How many times had Andy cried without knowing someone was there? How many birthdays, Christmas mornings, family arguments had the toys quietly witnessed? The toys know almost everything about Andy. Andy knows almost nothing about them. And that's what makes the situation so fascinating, because Woody would instantly face the hardest decision of his life. Does he keep pretending, or does he tell Andy the truth? If anyone could explain the situation, it's Woody. He's calm, he's trusted, he's known Andy longer than anyone else. But how do you even start the conversation? Hi Andy, surprise! I've actually been alive this whole time. No matter how gently Woody explains it, the shock would be enormous, especially because it raises another question. If Woody is alive, what else is? Then, when Andy's bedroom changes forever, suddenly every toy becomes a potential person. Rex, Ham, Slinky Dog, Mr. Potato Head, Bo Peep, Buzz Lightyear, every single one has thoughts, feelings, dreams, fears, and personalities that Andy never knew existed. Imagine Andy discovering Rex isn't just a dinosaur, he's incredibly anxious. Imagine learning Ham is actually sarcastic, or that Slinky is one of the most loyal friends imaginable. Andy wouldn't just own toys anymore, he'll be living with an entire hidden society. Now, here's a fun fact that actually connects surprisingly well to this theory. When Pixar first started developing Toy Story, the idea wasn't exactly the film we know today. Early versions of Woody were much harsher and less friendly. During development, the creative team realised audiences wouldn't connect with a mean-spirited main character, so they reworked him into the loyal, caring cowboy that we all know today. That change helped define the emotional heart of the story and turned Woody into someone viewers could trust. That matters for our theory because if Andy ever learnt the truth, Woody's personality would make all the difference. A colder, more selfish Woody might have pushed Andy away. Instead, the final version of Woody is exactly the kind of character who would try to reassure him, explain what's happening, and protect both Andy and the other toys. And that's where we'll pick up in part 2, because once Andy knows the truth, keeping it secret becomes almost impossible, and the consequences reach far beyond one bedroom. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this first part of what would happen if Andy realised his toys were alive. I hope you enjoyed it, and please remember to like and subscribe, I really appreciate it. And remember, anyone can wear the mask.